telling me your apples are slow.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm going by the official town hall clock on the wall.
It's officially off. That means a battery or something.
Official nonetheless.
No, you gotta keep it open.
We do?
For the public meeting.
No, it's too noisy out there.
Public meeting.
They can come in.
You gotta keep the doors open.
It's got to stay open. It's a public meeting.
At least one door.
Okay. Okay, so we'll try that again now that Ron's. All right, we're going to open this meeting. So today's agenda, we have a public comment, approval of approval of meeting minutes for July 25th, June 25th. Oh my God, my brain's fried. Election worker appointments in Master Plan Implementation Committee alternate, an appointment of the advisory representative to the Affordable Housing Committee, appointment of the Senior Services and Recreational Program Director, permalink administrative fee increase, discussion on that, designer selection standards, town financial policies, and appointment of a field driver, and the town administrator's report, and topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair. So we will open up the room to any public comments for anything that is not on the agenda. Is there anybody here for that? No. All right, good. There being none, we will move on. Minutes for June 25th. 2024. Is there a motion to accept or any concerns, revisions, changes?
I had nothing. They looked good.
Okay.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from the June 25th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Yao and an aye. Okay, great. Next thing up is the election worker appointments and master plan implementation committee alternate.
So I'm going to move to appoint election worker appointments. Mary Dow, Linda Cutler, Brian Cutler, Lynn Denise, Ann Fenichetti, Holly Woods, Anne Marie Wright, and Delaney Auger. And they are election worker appointments. And then additionally, I move to appoint John O'Brien as alternate member of the Master Plan Implementation Committee.
Okay,
I will second those motions.
all right. Any discussion on any of these positions? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Next up, the appointment of the advisory representative to the Affordable Housing Committee.
So I move to approve Matt Naughton as the advisory board representative on the Affordable Housing Committee.
All right,
I will second that.
okay. Any discussion? Does Matt know he's being appointed for this position?
He does. I think he
Okay,
won.
good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is the appointment of the Senior Services Recreational Program Director.
So I move to appoint the hiring of Charles Anthony Raffoni to serve as the town's Senior Services and Recreation Program Director.
I will second that.
Before we vote in favor, do you want to just maybe give a little quick intro?
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Charles Mahoney, but I do go by Chuck. Looking forward to the opportunity to serve the community. I have had a professional background, probably up until about 10 or 11 years ago, working in the office beverage service. I transitioned to being a yoga teacher full time. And so with that, I create events and hold space for people to come together in the community. And I think this is a perfect fit to what I already do.
Excuse me.
Great. Well, thank you. Welcome aboard. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing that position and sort of recreating a new position, well, not recreating, creating a new position with the activities with the Recreation Parks Department. So with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
So, thank you.
You guys.
You don't have to stick around if you don't want
I
to.
heard.
Yeah. It's a hot night. Back in the AC.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
Chuck. Take care. Permalink administrative fee increase.
I think we
You-
talked about this last week or last meeting.
This is a pass-through, really. They increased the fee per transaction to the town from $10 to $12.
Oh, that's right.
So unless we want to absorb that increase, we want to just increase our transaction fee
By the same
to
amount.
same. Yeah.
Right.
I want to ask a question.
You may ask.
I know this is a pass-through, I get that. How many contractors, electrical, plumbing, gas, are still coming to town hall for permits?
You know, there's still a fair amount. We process all of them through permitting. There's a fair amount who still come in. Part of the issue is that we've never fully transitioned to permit link. So if you want to pay for the permit, you can't do it right now through permit link. You actually have to leave permit link and pay for it through Unibank,
Yeah.
which makes
inconvenient.
no
No
sense.
Yeah.
So we've been working with permit link to change that. They were actually ready to transition to the new model this week, but we asked them to hold off on doing that because Sue's not here. So we're hoping that we can fix that problem next week, starting next week. I think if people are able to pay just using permit link without the confusion and having to leave and then go back,
Yeah.
I think it will increase the participation greatly and it will save staff time because right now what we're doing is we get a printout. I did this today. I'm learning this because Sue's not around. We get a printout of the Unibank charges.
Mhm.
We have to take the printout, we have to sign into permit link, and we then manually have to input those payments into permit link. Rather than, if someone could just pay using the software and the capability is there, that layer of bureaucracy or administrative work goes away and frees up our time, especially Sue's. So we are moving to that. It's taken a while. Sue's been working on this for months, but we're at the finish line. So I think, sorry, that's a long answer.
No, it's a good answer, and, my concern is just that, and, I don't know about Massachusetts, but I did have an opportunity to take out an electrical permit in New Hampshire, and I went to town hall, and I was told that if I do this at town hall, there's a $50 administrative fee, or you can do it online, because according to them, they're tying, and I agree, they're tying up town resources to process the thing. Some of the guys that work in Dunstable are saying that it's too difficult to use it. And what you just said fits into that. And I mean, I haven't taken an electrical permit in Dunstable in a while, but I think the thing is like not clean,
It's
muddy.
I think it's user-friendly, and it's something that a lot of communities use. So if a contractor does business with municipalities on a regular basis, they're likely to have bumped into the software because a lot of communities.
It's the known brand.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the McDonald's of these types of things. So.
It's clunky. It's clunky because, or it's worse because of the town, Dunstable in particular. A lot of communities allow the payments right through permit link. For some reason, when we initially transitioned to permit link, the decision was made not to do that and to stick with the Unibank for payments. And it really makes it clunky. More clunky than it needs to be.
Yeah, we use Unibank for like trash payments.
Correct.
And tax. No, not taxes. All taxes are.
Almost all payments online.
Yeah, so that's why it's through Unibank still.
It is, but a lot of the guys, in order to use Unibank, you gotta have a shopping cart. You gotta put your stuff in the shopping cart, and then you gotta pay for it, then you gotta go back to the permit software.
No, it makes more sense to keep it
It just-
consolidated into one.
It's, I think clunky is a decent word, but what we are doing though is discouraging. Guys are just gonna come here because they don't want to deal with it. And that's.
I hear it in the office
Yeah.
at the counter about I tried to pay, but I couldn't pay
Yeah.
online. And I said, well, you can, but it's not intuitive.
Yeah,
So this will clean that up. I think it's gonna be a huge improvement.
so this
And
update that they're gonna do will include, it's not gonna increase.
They're
our fee
not,
by
they're
any-
not directly related, but
Okay.
they just happen to be happening at around the same time.
Why don't we revisit it and give it
No,
until,
I think
until the
he-
early fall and then see if it's improved?
I think we just need to, I mean, if we have a lot of guys coming in here taking out permits, it's because either A, they don't want to learn the thing, or this is what they're used to doing. And some of the older guys they want to come and fill out a piece of paper and give it to you and write a check and get their permit. And that's not, most municipalities are not doing that anymore. They're not. You don't even get a permit anymore. We used to get a permit. Here's your permit. If you want that permit, you got to go online and look it up, and there's your permit. And you can print it out. The towns are not issuing paper permits anymore. They're not. And I don't know how that works with us, but, you know, the scuttlebutt in the trade that I hear is that Dunstable is very difficult with their permitting process administratively. I don't have
Well,
any,
if we can make that better, then that's a good thing.
if we could try to do what you say and consolidate that. I mean, the Unibank thing now, it goes okay. I paid my trash on it, and for the most part, it works okay. And as
Yeah.
long as you get a plan to resolve that, but contractors that are coming in here, like in Pittsfield, New Hampshire, which is where I got a permit, you gotta pay, it's $50. Come into town hall, you need a permit, it's gonna be $50 surcharge.
Yeah.
So I got in my truck and left.
That's a good incentive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a small amount, but that's the right number to discourage, to encourage somebody to go learn something online.
Yeah.
$50 is a lot of money.
It is a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah,
of money,
that's-
but I understand that town's perspective.
Yeah.
Because the girl is doing permits, is doing roads, and she's doing all this stuff, and now they're gonna take her away and tie her up on permits
Yeah.
with some guy who really doesn't wanna be bothered dealing with online, but the truth is, there's no
Yeah.
convenience to it, so I'm okay, Jason.
It is true, if a contractor is used to working with fully staffed communities in the permitting process and then comes here, it's gonna be a lot more difficult here.
Mhm.
There's no question about it.
Mhm.
Because just simply schedules and not having some of our inspectors even have office hours here. You know, that creates challenges and that other communities that are staffed, they don't have to deal with, so.
And how are we handling, permits for things like oil, which have been going to the fire department? Are they,
I think that's still, I think that's still with the fire department.
and those dollars get turned in, and there's some sort of, you know,
The chief comes over with the
Yeah.
turnover.
is it better to consolidate so that we have one
Yeah,
permit
yeah,
database? So
I
that
talked to
we'll,
the chief came up here a few weeks ago and talked to me about that meeting.
But this before us is not related to that.
No,
no, it's a little different, right? So I move to approve an increase of the processing fee for permit applications using Permit Link from $10 to $12 to cover the increase in the transactional fee assessed to the town by Permit Link.
Second.
All right, any further discussion like this? I hope not. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One last thing, it might be something to revisit or I know we have to talk about our increase in fees at some point again.
Mhm.
So when we get the chance to do that, you know, maybe we'll see if there's been any positive experiences since maybe with the software increase, if it's gotten better.
Sure.
You know, see if things have been enhanced.
So,
Carry on.
is your yay and nay?
Oh, I was an aye, sorry. Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Designer selection standards. I'm not, that's all what this was for. now.
Okay. Do you want me to take it?
Please.
So, the Union Building project
Oh, okay,
requires,
that's what it is.
the town,
Yeah.
the town to hire an architect to create bid documents that we can bid for the exterior improvements of the building. In order for us to do that, while architects and engineers are exempt from 30B, if the project meets certain thresholds, there's a separate designer selection law that communities need to follow. The designer selection laws for any project that is $300,000 or more, and the designer fee is $30,000 or more. In this case, we meet both of those thresholds, and because of that, we need to go through the designer selection process. The first thing we need to do is, as a town, what do they call it, authorizing body, or approving body?
Awarding authority?
Award, is that?
Approving body.
Approving body needs to adopt these designer selection procedures. The designer selection law process is different than traditional procurement, in as much that they require you to issue a request for qualifications and then determine the price after you've ranked and selected a vendor. So it's a little different than what we traditionally go through, but that's how we need to do it. So these procedures are almost directly from the model procedures that are provided by the state to comply with the law. I did have a discussion with town council as well, and they pointed me to these. So that is why they are before you tonight, so we can get started on the Union Building project.
Yep. Okay.
I read this earlier, it is boilerplate from,
No point in
I think
reinventing
it's
the
from
wheel.
DCPO.
It's
Division of Capital Planning.
it's just
Yeah.
copied essentially from the state website.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah.
All right, so
All right.
I move that we adopt, I move to adopt the designer
Problems
selection
here tonight.
procedure as presented and dated July 16th, 2024.
I will second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So next up are the town financial policies. So yes, thank you for working on these, Jason, with advisory board. I think it makes a lot of sense to do this.
Yeah, it kind of solidifies a lot of
Yeah.
things that we used to do on the back of a napkin.
Yeah,
The advisory board had 2 meetings to discuss and review these. They approved them at their last meeting, which I think was last Wednesday. And yeah, it I think formalizes some processes that we already do and creates other, I think, frameworks that will be helpful to us moving forward. If you want me to provide highlights, I can, but I don't have to.
Well, how this gets, the advisory board edited this, or how this gets, did they start this or did you start it?
So it was kind of a joint effort. I did provide them a draft. They provided input. There was some amendments made as part of the review and discussion. And this is the final result and the final approved policies of the advisory board. The major things this does, it basically says that we need to better align our revenue growth with expenditure growth, so that
so the first.
expenses don't grow more than revenues, which is obviously a standard good practice to have. It also says, it formalizes the fact that we're going to put together an annual financial forecast to help guide the budget process every year. And that we'll have a joint meeting with all stakeholders in the first quarter of the fiscal year to review the financial condition of the schools, the town of Groton, and Dunstable. A free cash policy it basically says that we're gonna try to draw down our reliance on free cash for the next 2 fiscal years. And then it also stipulates how a portion of it will be distributed, moving forward. So it says that 5% of our free cash certification will go to the general stabilization fund, and then no less than 30% will go to short-term capital expenses. Hopefully by getting off of free cash for our operating budget, it will free up additional free cash for these purposes. It also gives a target of 3 to 5% of certified free cash on an annual basis, 3 to 5% of the annual budget.
Should it be things like it may be distributed annually in the following manner, at least 5%? It's the last, because will be means that it's happening no matter what.
It should, I think that's the point. Is it?
I know, but it's just like, just to be realistic, like.
Well, I'm
last year
thinking
was-
this is probably a somewhat fluid document,
Right.
because you're putting
If we have-
specific dates in here, so
If we
it,
have to amend it, we can amend it.
Okay.
And we talked about, as the advisory board talked about, the need to review and evaluate on an annual basis, if not more frequently. But the one of the main goal, or the main idea around these policies is to have policies in place so that it's, the way we conduct business is not reliant on who sits in these seats,
Mhm.
that we have a standard of practice budgetarily, that we know what we're gonna do, and we know what the expectations are. And, I think there is, in the advisory board, talk about this a lot too, around making sure there's sufficient, flexibility
Mhm.
so that it doesn't tie our hands too much, but also, implements best practices, basically. So,
I have no problem with the word will. It's different than shall. And-
Right.
But
Yeah.
stronger than may. We want to have these to have a firmer direction and something solid to fall back on to say, well, we adopted a policy so that we will do this.
yeah,
It doesn't
And
say
if we-
shall, which sort of totally ties you down. But
Yeah,
I think the will is an important statement here.
I'm not trying to get stuck on like the
Yeah.
nuances of the word, but like, if all of
No,
a
but
sudden it says
the
it's
nuance is
5%.
exactly the point.
Yeah.
That makes it either a strong document or not a strong document.
Yeah,
and I understand what you're saying. I mean,
Yeah.
well, because sometimes
make
you're
a
locked
valid-
to it then, like,
You make a valid point.
Yeah.
But one of the pieces of this too, which it states here somewhere, that if we're using one-time revenues and free cash consistently, all we're doing is delaying difficult decisions.
Yeah.
That's all it does. It doesn't get rid of them. It delays them.
yeah,
And so what's the actual point? Just make the difficult decisions that we need to make, if we do need to make them, based on best practices that we should be following.
Exactly.
That's the idea. But it does, it will there are times when it will put us in a position where it's like,
Yeah.
but I think that's kind of the point in some ways.
Well, I think that's the value of having the sliding scale.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're in that really tough point.
Yeah.
You do the 5.
Yeah.
When you,
Yeah,
And I think at first it said we were gonna reduce free cash allowance by 100 each, 100,000, 26, 100,000, 27. And now it says incrementally over 26 and 27.
Mhm.
So it doesn't necessarily mean we have to take off 100 in those
Mhm.
years. It's kind of,
Yeah.
so there is some built-in flexibility, I think, but it does also require us to do certain things.
and it's not like a town charter or
right.
because I'm just trying to think of like, if I were at a town meeting and I'd heard, oh, we're following our policy, and like, did the town meeting actually get to discuss the policy? And it's, the advisory board, the town administrator's office, and the select board sort of making a decision in a, not necessarily a vacuum, but just worried, like, 'cause I know the town charter feedback we got was
Well, that
animated,
was,
but this is a policy that we're setting for the town here too, so.
well, obviously it's not as strong as a charter. The charter
Yeah.
has to get approved through the state
Yeah.
legislature. This,
I hear you. I mean, just
Yeah, I mean, it's a,
playing devil's advocate for the
yeah,
sake of,
I think it's a great start, but again, the meetings were public. For
Right,
people to
I'm with
go
you.
and discuss it with the advisory board. This
you don't-
meeting is open here for us to discuss now.
In
It's
this,
online. If there are any questions popping up, I mean, yeah.
the select board doesn't have to adopt them or approve them.
no, I
You
mean,
know, it was advisory has, and they intend,
Mhm.
they intend to follow them, I think, again, to the extent.
Well, I
that
think
they're
we
able
should
to
be,
guidelines.
I think we should go forward and do it because we do approve the budget as well.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
You're setting financial policy, every year you set the budget.
no, I mean, I just rather ask the question now than
That's fine.
get burned at the stake, so.
Keep asking. Yeah.
No, I mean, and I appreciate the hard work of the different offices different departments and groups that worked on it, so.
Ron?
I just have one, it's more of a critique, okay?
Yeah.
If what I want to do with this document is after we approve it, can you give it a date so because right now it doesn't have, it's not a living document.
Yes.
It's undated,
Yes.
right? So let's put a signature block approved by the finance committee on whatever date they approved and approved by the select board with today's date on it so that it's memorialized as being all right, because
There is one posted on the website under the advisory board webpage, which has the date that they approved it. I will, if the select board approves it, I will add it to your page and your approval.
yeah, I would just, because if you had to hand this out to someone,
Absolutely.
let's put it, and let's, have it be a title block and approve, and that's it. That's all I would ask, because there is no date on anyways on this. There's no page tags either, like 1 of 6.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
do that
that's
too.
it. Put that on.
There you go.
No, I'll do that.
Happy? There you
I'll
go.
add that.
All right, move to adopt financial, I'm getting beaten up all the time. Move to adopt financial policies as presented and adopted by the advisory board.
Second.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good. Okay, next up is the appointment of a field driver. What prompted this, Jason?
Yeah, what is this all about?
Does it have a name?
It's
Well,
either
what-
Silky or Freedom. I've heard both.
Silky Freedom?
God.
Well, one of the many things we learned over the Freedom Run was that we did not have a field driver appointed. And
We always used to have one.
yeah, I think it was.
2017, I think was the last time we
Wasn't it
appointed
you?
one.
I think it was 17.
Mike? Weren't you the field driver?
You want to be?
Bacon was your father?
His
Is it
dad.
compensation?
It goes back to colonial times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fence viewer and a field guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
What does he do? Drive around the field? You have an ATV or something?
You
Well-
went around and picked up animals.
The loose animals.
Put them in the town.
Put 'em in the town
Oh, no
pond.
kidding.
I'll go bag
Yes.
groceries at Market Basket.
Oh, that's real. And so,
I always thought they had it, it was a thing, we used to do constables and field, didn't they?
It was always,
Yeah,
it was always
it was always on the thing, yeah, field driver, I did that.
And fence viewers, field drivers.
Do we have a fence viewer? Do we have?
I don't believe so.
We
I don't
used
believe
to.
we've appointed a fence
Yeah,
viewer.
right, yeah.
Well, obviously, we needed a fence viewer about 2 weeks ago, otherwise the cow wouldn't have gotten out.
Freedom.
there was no fence.
There's no fence, that was the problem.
Exactly.
What having a field driver appointed does is it allows us to assess costs associated with wrangling the
Cost associated with wrangling an animal?
Wrangling
the loose
animal.
animal.
Do we have
Without-
cost associated with that?
Yeah,
Well, it turns out no, but we could have. And so, moving forward, I think it's probably a good idea to have us, so just in case we do have to absorb some costs associated with capturing a loose animal of some kind, that we are able to charge the owner fees associated with what we have attacked.
I mean, there's been some sheep that were out,
There
there
have
was a
been.
pig that was out, there've been cows out.
Oh, we've had a bunch of cows out on 113. There's more than one morning. There was like 4 of them out there roaming around.
Yeah.
Everybody was driving around.
Dairy cows are doing this
Yeah.
here.
They like food.
And I think it's good to stay in touch with our colonial roots here and keep these old
Yeah.
archaic positions in place.
We're a right to farm community, so
We are a
this
right to
can
farm
come up
community.
every now
We
and
gotta
then.
have a field driver.
Yeah.
In the pound. He's responsible for cutting the grass in the pound, right? Get him a weed whacker,
Who are we appointing for this?
John Greenhalledge.
The animal control.
Oh, the
ACO.
ACO, okay.
Move to appoint John Greenhalledge as field driver for a term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I have to say before we move on, the chief's here, so I have to, the chief, I'm quite convinced if it weren't for him, we would not be out of this situation.
The cow negotiator.
He performed well above and beyond his duty to help.
Maybe we
with
should have
that.
appointed him to be in this position.
I asked him.
Want some honorary boots? Maybe a big cowboy
I
hat?
learned a lot through the process.
I'm sure. It was quite a process.
There are cowboys you can call when they come with horses and dogs, and that would be the fee that we were talking about. 'Cause
Yes.
there was a point where we didn't know if anybody was gonna be able to catch it, but these people, and they're not cheap.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You have to import them from Idaho.
No,
New
New
York, New York.
York.
New York.
What also makes you realize that chasing them on foot is not a good idea because of the size of the animal?
Well,
Or
and
a
just
golf
wait.
cart or a moped, whatever it may
Silky
be.
weighed 824 pounds. So, yeah.
Oh,
Small.
Let alone, yes, I appreciate that too. There's also the animal to consider, and chasing it just is gonna force it into an area where it could have been
We tried to
disastrous.
call lots of people and nobody wanted to touch it.
Yeah.
I thought all you needed to do was put some grain in a bucket.
And that's worked, but the
That
problem
shit is
was
Everybody was out there.
getting the rope around its neck was the second hurdle of that.
And then like holding it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, when something becomes a social media star, that is.
What a world.
Interesting
The
world.
cow is quote unquote quite elusive.
Right,
Is what I,
elusive.
quite elusive. That's what I was told many times, so.
Well, good. So here we are.
The things you don't know what you're signing
So-
up for.
Welcome to
It was
Dunstable,
fun,
Jason.
it was fun, I gotta say.
The field driver, or is he also the fence viewer?
No, he's a
No.
field driver only. We don't have a fence
Fence viewer
viewer.
is separate.
It's a different deal. But I think in Pepperell, the field driver and the fence viewer is the same. They got Carl Shattuck was, being Peter Shattuck.
That's the way it was, it was, it was its name first. Look back.
Yeah, well,
But he's
We're
not
here,
gonna go look
Greg.
at fences.
So
He's strictly gonna be an animal.
Oh, with surveyors now, it's kind of.
Yeah.
It was just the.
Settle disputes, right?
Mhm.
To settle disputes between property owners.
oh, yeah, we don't want to put that on
Well, somebody
anybody.
moved the stone wall,
Yes.
somebody pulled the stone wall down, and I think my land is over here, over here.
We used to appoint one in my old community.
Yeah.
That's-
Cool.
Does he know that he is gonna be our field driver?
Yes.
Is he the field driver in Lunenburg, where he is now?
I don't know.
No?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right, good. Well, anything else? Short and quick? Your report pretty much covered
Yeah.
what was on it. Anybody else here for anything? I know you missed the public comment session, so.
I got a question. I thought the new water line, have you guys heard anything about the new water line to the high school? I thought that was supposed to start in June, they didn't say what year, but June of this year is coming by, and July is fast approaching the end, and
Oh, they're still going through the permitting process. I know it just had gotten approvals through the Conservation Commission for both Groton and Dunstable. Well, we'd approved it last month, but they did too. So I know they're going through the permitting aspects of it. And there was a meeting
They had a
last
meeting
week.
last week. I went to, it
Yeah.
was at the middle school. They're moving forward, yeah, they said it was 90,
When this whole thing started, it was they hope to start putting
Yeah.
pipe in the ground in June, but.
Well,
they said it was
They
90.
didn't say what year.
No.
I suspect it would be 25.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it is. I think it's the water, the bottled water I thought was still in the budget for this.
No, I
Yeah,
think-
yeah, it
no,
is.
So-
It is, right? To Harold's point, it was, that water line was to be ready for service by the fall of this year, 24.
Well, I don't see. how
But
that's gonna
Environmental
happen.
Partners doesn't even have their
No.
design completed yet. So
No.
I-
Well, it's 90% complete. I mean,
It's the documents?
Yeah.
Yes, it's 90% complete, but they don't have it's not permanent, so they're still
Yeah.
Yeah.
awaiting the,
We're supposed to get DEP.
in a basin transfer
Right.
from,
The
the
DEP,
DCR or DEP, one of those.
DEP.
yeah.
Did that happen, interbasin transfer?
I don't believe they
No,
have.
I didn't think so. That was a little bit of a process.
Yeah.
That's what, and they've been going through it, but they had a meeting, they have a meeting coming up, they said, so. They said, I believe, they said they were hoping to start, I think he said September, but let's say the fall, just to be safe.
Yeah,
It's a busy road. That'll be
Okay.
fun.
yeah. Is there anything on here you wanted to go through? No, it's pretty long, yeah.
Maybe one, just the, I don't know, I sent out 24 achievements, 25 goals to everybody. Want to take a look and provide feedback on
Okay.
that.
And the RFP and the cell tower and the water tank?
Yep, we've had one vendor ask some questions that we had to issue an addendum on, so it seems like there's potential interest.
I did notice that the high school is also putting out an RFP for a cell tower, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are kind of competing with each
I
other?
think they have somebody, I think they actually have somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that'll be a revenue generator for the school, ideally, slightly?
That's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do
If
you
that's
know
the,
where it's going?
I don't, I just saw,
Is it going on our 10-acre, our 10-acre lot that was supposed to be preserved for
The middle
the
Elementary
school?
school.
I don't know the location. I was more just curious as how it offsets technology costs or something there, other than it just provides cell service to kids who can stare at their phones.
Well,
in high school.
I mean, they should be getting revenue. They rent the space.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. And there is no service on that part of town between Groton and Densville, so it'll help.
Yeah.
Sort of like the dead spot right by Dunkin' Donuts here.
Yeah.
Just like-
All right,
So,
anything else? Yeah, good. Anything else? No? All right. Anybody want to make the call?
Move to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, nice, quick meeting.
Yeah.
So I will be away next week. You'll
Okay.
get.
I'll sign.